you beautiful souls out there, my social media family. How are you doing today? My name is Chris Flippin, and I'm here to help you find your happiness. Now, in today's interview, I have one of the most amazing people that you will ever meet in your entire life, Harriet Bratt. How are you doing, my beautiful soul?
I'm overwhelmed and blown away by your introduction. Amazing, though. Absolutely take it. Thank you so much, Chris. I'm absolutely wonderful, and I feel privileged and very excited to be here with you and all of your viewers.
Likewise. So for those people that have not met you before, who have not had the awesome privilege to have met you before, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and like where you're from, what do you do, all that good stuff.
Sure. I could speak about it for a little while. I don't know if you want my full life story. Here, as I am right now, I'm a Harriet, international speaker trainer, mentor, author, and warrior. In a nutshell, I'm here to inspire other people to do what inspires them. And we do that through confidence, connection, and communication.
That's awesome. Well, confidence is definitely not something you have an issue with. That's for sure.
Now I don't. Once upon a time, story.
And we'll definitely get into that. So hold on to that thought right there. All right. So where are you from? Like, what was life like growing up for you? Like as a kid, as a teen, give us a little bit about, who is Harriet Bratt?
Do you want the flip-flops on the beach version or the driven in my mission?
A little bit of both.
I was going to say, to be fair, it's all one thing. I'm from the UK. I'm right by the coast down here in Cornwall, so I'm from a very little county right at the bottom of the UK. Very much a live life, love life type of girl, and always was growing up. Really a sort of here today, gone tomorrow type of girl. I think we're going to tap more into that story in a moment from what you said. Yeah. But yeah, I just saw that there was something more and understood that to be able to really make that impact that I could feel in my heart and knew was out there, that I needed to step out of Cornwall, learn from different teachers, different mentors, different guardians. So I've done a lot of traveling recently. In fact, that's how we met over in LA. I think it was in July, right?
Yep, sure was.
Amazing over there. So now I, having gone on this journey of learning it, and then living it, you and I were having a beautiful conversation just before we jumped on to this interview about, healing your past, going through your own pain and truly dealing with it yourself, right, to then be able to go out there and pass it on. And so that's the stage of the journey that I'm at and have been in for a little while now. I've learned it. I've healed a lot of pain from the past. And now I'm in a situation where this Cornish girl who still loves to be by the beach, still loves to be by herself in nature, with nobody, just the beauty that is around us. At the same time, I travel the world. I run international speaking events, speaker training, also a firewalk instructor. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah, and so for any of you out there who ever get a chance to be at an event with Harriet, I cannot recommend it with more flying colors and all the beautiful words in the world. I had the privilege of being at Superpower Live with her back down in LA, like she mentioned, in July of last year. And let me tell you, the confidence that she exudes now and the ability that she has to motivate people and just to inspire you just by the interaction, even if she's not looking directly at you, just by watching her, is something that's just super amazing. So if you guys ever get a chance to do that, please do. So one of the things that you said, when we started, is that you have the confidence now. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, so were you like the shy kid growing up? Were you like, like for me, like I was like kind of like the shy, well, not quite the nerdy kid, but like, so I surfed, right? So, for me growing up, I wasn't, the nerd per se, but I also wasn't like the cool, super cool kids, right? But I did play sports, and so I was I guess more timid than shy, right? So tell us about that part of it. Like what was it that kept you from being so confident?
you've given kind of a really nice example of what I would cup into two very generic personalities. Now, of course, you know, we could break that down into so many different areas. We could do a whole YouTube series on all the different personalities, all of the different ways. But in a nutshell, I find that with confidence, especially for people that are developing that or believe that they don't have any, you know, there's the shy, much more quiet type. And then there's, and I could almost hear people laughing, you know, especially my mom, when you asked if I was shy, because it wasn't shyness for me. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are the same way as that. There's the shy and perhaps more, dare I say it, obviously less confident. And then there's people who appear to be very confident, but actually inside here, whole different story. And that was me. I was wearing a mask. I mean, as you say, you've met me. I am naturally very high energy, and trying to sort of condense that, especially as a child, wasn't natural. So therefore my natural way was very high energy and was to be very loud, but it was wearing a mask of false pretense. It was pretending something I'm not. And in here, you know, constantly questioning myself. You know, I know this is a fairly shortish, or we'll see how we go. I've got some time. Well,
no, but I mean, please do, like, because like one of the things that I'd like to know is like, what do you think were the things that caused you to kind of not have that confidence? You know, like for me as a kid, like, you know, my mom worked a lot, and, you know, I surfed all the time, so I didn't really have a lot of interaction with people. So although I would consider myself a very outgoing person, you know, I still was, you know, kind of timid, right? Because there wasn't enough interaction with people to really be able, until like I got into high school, and then in college was different, right? There's more opportunities to interact. So what was it for you that kind of, that caused you to be like you were just saying?
And I also think one of the beautiful reasons that you're in such a nice vibration is your surfing, that connection to nature.
Absolutely.
So,
I think that for me growing up was probably one of the biggest keys, because, you know, I grew up without my dad in my life, and my mom worked a lot, and we also moved around a lot. And so I never really got an opportunity to make really good friends because of moving around a lot. And had I not surfed, I think I would have, you know, gone down a very different direction than I did in being, you know, the way that I am now. So, yeah.
Really beautiful.
So now let me ask you this. So, you know, as a kid, you know, you were saying that you kind of wore that false mask and you know, trying to, you know, be something that you're saying that you weren't.
Yeah.
What would you say, at what age were you, and what was it that woke you up out of that to realize, okay, that's not me, I can't continue? Like, what was it that really kind of clicked inside for you?
Just before I jump into that one, I'm just going to rewind back a little bit and just kind of complete that loop around within my childhood. I'm not going to tap really deep into it, and I very much invite anybody to, you know, join our tribe, jump online, grab my free complimentary ebook, and you can learn a lot more about my story. I don't want to utilize this full time that we have here together to go deep into it, but what I do want to make people aware, because, you know, as you said, people do see me these days and they're like, whoa, you're so strong, you're so confident. But that's what I need people to or not need, but that's what I'm passionate about. Seeing people understand is that every single one of us has a warrior inside of us. Every single one of us has greatness and confidence within, and we all have a past. And I think sometimes, you know, for example, you with your dad, and I think we can all speak about friends and family that have had something happen to them in their life that has caused them to have lower self-esteem, lower confidence. And then, you know, we'll probably speak more on this in the interview. It's what I do. But then we reaffirm that with our thoughts and that conditioning that we are that way and we don't have confidence. And for me, those triggers in the past, and as I say, it'll be different for everybody, but the essential outcome is emotions that don't serve us: pain, anger, frustration, grief. You know, all of that side, which are part of us in this human existence, but don't serve us by holding on and living there. Now, for me, it was, number one was ADHD. suddenly being slammed with this label and this condition, and you know, you can't concentrate, you can't focus, stop showing off, you're too high energy, you're, you know, all of these things that were actually naturally just me.
Right.
I understand that how this sort of diagnosis came about, but what was interesting was the way it was dealt with and the perception about it. And that's what I care passionately about, is how we word these conditions, these personality traits that people have, to empower them and allow them to live their best self with that personality trait, rather than you have this condition and therefore you need this medication and you need to do X, Y, and Z. So that was one thing. But really, I think the biggest thing to really that I allowed, and I know you understand that language. If anyone's got any questions about that watching, then just comment below. I know Chris will be able to serve you with some videos that answer that. Essentially, it's that taking responsibility. I knew that I was allowing, or had allowed, I didn't realize it at the time, I had allowed somebody else to mentally and more abuse me.
Right.
And from that, it lasted for, you know, nearly over a year, about a year and a half, with a lot of details that I share at different events for different reasons, so that people can connect to it.
Right.
It reduced me to a point of having no confidence. And it's a word I don't use except to share it for people to connect with. Right. I hated myself. And just to wrap it up, I went through a lot of life with that mask on, thinking that I had to fit in a certain way, I had to be more normal, you know, doubting myself constantly all the time, which is things I know so many of us go through. Until I think then that sort of shifts onto your next question, but I'll let you jump in for a moment.
So I really kind of wanted to touch up on something that you said, because I think that is such a misconception that people have, you know, that they go through life. Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Why is people saying this to me? And I heard something a while back that has really resonated with me, and that's, no one can hurt you without your permission. Right? And I really like the way that you worded that, is what you allowed to happen to yourself. Because recently in my past, that is one of the epiphanies that I had. I was like, holy crap, like, no one did this to me. Like, I allowed it to happen. Because at any point, I could have literally just walked away. I could have stepped away from the situation and not continue to allow people to treat me that way, allow people to say those things to me, right? And I think, you know, I was talking to my cousin the other day, and he's like, oh my gosh, you know, this and that, rah, rah, rah. And, oh, sorry, it wasn't my cousin. It was one of my friends from Southern California. And he's telling me my girlfriend's treating me like that. I'm like, well, you allow her to. He goes, what? Like, what do you mean I allow her to? I was like, you allow her to. And he's like, that's BS, right? I don't allow her to. I'm like, yes, you do. You allow her to, because you continue to stay there. And so why would she stop? She knows you're not going anywhere. And, you know, there's no repercussion for it. So why is she going to stop? And that's, I think, one of the things that we have to understand. You know, once we start to really understand that concept of allowing, right, you have the choice to stop that at any point. And it's simple. And one of the things that, for me and my ex-wife, when things were going really good, you know, for the first 6 years that we were together, we never argued, right? And even the first argument was probably something that, like, people would look at and be like, that's not an argument. Like, what are you talking about? But the reason that happened is every time that one of us started to get to that level where we knew it was heating up, she would either say, hey, look, give me a minute. Or I would say that to her, hey, I need a minute, right? Or another thing is she, and, you know, we had enough confidence, you know, with each other where I could tell her, I said, hey, look, you need a minute before you say something and before I say something really stupid. And that 60 seconds of just sitting there in silence would be enough to where we can come back and not treat each other in a manner of which that direction was going. So if you're listening out there, if you're having that problem, right?
I gotta stop you. I gotta pause you for 1 second, beautiful man. What you just said right there, like, that is golden. And you know what? If 100% of marriages inserted that into relationships, there would be less divorce. Carry on.
Absolutely. And that's what I was just going to say, for those people out there listening who are having problems in that relationship, give that a shot, because I'm telling you, it was only after, we started growing apart and we stopped, both of us failed to start doing that we grew further and further apart. Had we continued to do that, I don't think that, we would be in the position that I am now, not married anymore. So that's something it's very simple, very simple. And if you love somebody enough, you should respect them enough to do that for them, and also allow them, because that's one of the things that, a lot of people will say, hold on a second, they try to walk away and the other person chases them down. No, we're going to talk about it right now, And so just don't do that. Give yourself that 60 seconds. That's all it takes, is to heat that down. So, so let me ask you, so we kind of talked about it a little bit, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to just touch on a couple of
things. Please do.
Thank you. So one, we were speaking about that allowing side, and I think, Chris, you're an encyclopedia of wisdom, and we could pull out so many of those points and have a whole interview about that alone. But I just want to say and touch on something with the allowing side, especially number one is absolutely, it is that total responsibility and seeing what we are tolerating, what we are allowing, and you're very spot on with that. But I can also, the trainer and the facilitator was coming to my mind in that moment, and I know there's a lot of people that will be looking at the screen and going, but this is happening, or that's happening, or this happened when I was a kid, or actually it's a situation that I can't, it's not a job I can walk away from, it's not a friend, actually, perhaps I've been, something hideous. And what I want to say to those moments, and I think that is definitely for another interview, the in-depth version. What I want to share is there's also that moment of deciding how you emotionally allow that circumstance or situation to affect you in the future. So if it's not something that you particularly say, I walk away from and I'm not allowing it anymore, perhaps it's something that's happened. However, if you jump in then and say, you don't know what's happened and this X, Y, and Z, and with love, those are the moments where you need to see, okay, yes, this did happen. And down the line with more work, I'll be able to understand on a deeper level how it was attracted, because in this instance, we're dimmed down. We don't have that awareness very quickly. So it takes a while for that to come in. However, what you can start to implement and see now is, okay, so this happened and I can't quite get to the point where I see how I attracted that. I'm just not there yet. I don't get it. Shut up, Harriet and Chris. But I might be able to go, okay, this happened and I see that I have a choice. I can either be a victim or a victor. And then we have all those quotes, those things. Pain to power, what breaks you can make you. And I really recommend, if there is anybody watching that is in that frame of mind where they feel that something that's happened to them is still, within inside, understand. And I think you'll get a lot of tips from this interview today. But we have the power to change and control anything, any feeling, any experience. So it's about how you take what happened and turn it into an empowered future. And I really always recommend a book, Viktor Frankl, The Man's Search for Meaning. He was the gas chambers in Germany during the Holocaust. So you can see that situation. And yet he chose, all he could choose was how he perceived it. I'm going to keep my faith. I'm going to keep my home. You can take my family. You can take my clothes. You can take my dignity. You can whip me. You can beat me. But you cannot take my perspective. And I'm choosing I'm choosing faith. So just to tap in a little bit more on that, because I think it's an important point.
And one of the things that, people always say, oh, well, you might hear, well, that's easier said than done, right? And it really isn't. I really tell people it's actually easier done than said, right? Because it takes more effort to think about it, right? And to say it all the time than to actually do it. And one of the things that Liam showed us at the last event at the Global Leadership Conference down in San Diego was really cool. And he did something with his finger, right? It's like where he showed us the perspective, right? So let me see if I can do it on camera here, right? Let me see if I can. So let's see.
I know it. You showed me in India.
So this is going. Is this counterclockwise in the camera, right? This is counterclockwise?
You're going the other way, yeah.
Okay, so it's this way, right? Okay. All right. So if this is going counterclockwise, right? And then all you have to do is change your perspective, right? And now you can see I didn't change the direction. My hand's still going, but now when you look at it, it's going clockwise, right? And he did it while you were looking down, right? When you look at it down this way and then you look up and then it's going a different way, right? But the thing was, is like I showed that to my cousin.
Try this, by the way. Try this exercise.
Yeah, it's amazing. And what you do is you put your finger down below and you move it clockwise, right? And then as you go up, and then you look at it, go up from the top, and now your hand, even though you haven't changed the direction of your hand, it's now going clockwise. And what that proves, okay, beyond a shadow of a doubt, physics, okay, like you can't even, is that if you change your perspective about a situation, everything changes. Everything. And that's one of the things that I recently did a video on that about, what I've done with my past is, I've changed the way that I perceive things. I no longer label them as losses anymore, right? I label them as lessons. And since I've been able to do that, I've been able to extract those things of what was I supposed to learn from those things and not continue to repeat them. And it was that simple, just really simple change of what I labeled it, right? And that completely changed. That was probably one of like the top 5 biggest things that helped me heal from all of the things that had happened, right? So I don't know if we like specifically answered the question, like, what was that moment that you realized, okay, I've got to change? Like, was there a specific moment for you? Like, for example, like for me, it was, having had everything and not been happy and then losing it all. And then, being just completely broken. But the moment for me was when I realized that no one else is responsible for my happiness other than me. Like that was the moment that that's what woke me up and got me really onto this path that I am now. Was there something specific like that for you that woke you up like that?
Yeah, similar. I think mine it's a very generic one that I think a lot of people will be able to relate to. I was running a 44-bed care home. That's not the part you're going to relate to. Wait. But I was working probably about 80 to 100 hours a week. And I was just like stress, tears, not valued, not appreciated, ready to support in so many beautiful ways, and yet restricted in so many other ways. Right. I wasn't having any special quality time with my fiance at the time, let alone my friends and family. Right. And I just it was just like, there's more. There is more. So I just found a network marketing. Actually, it was network marketing. I must have been their golden client. It was like, do you want more positivity? Do you want motivation? Do you want to be your own boss? And I was just like, naive, yes, but the pain got that great. They often say that, don't they? You hit that low point and it kicks you enough to actually make you move. So I just went yes. I went along. I was there for maybe about 6 weeks, got my first promotion because it was it was the way out. However, it was there that I found personal development. It was there that I found Tony Robbins, and it was there in 2015 that this journey of personal development, spirituality completely opened up for me.
That's awesome. All right. So now leading into the next question, what would you say is your greatest strength now and why?
Beautiful question. My energy.
I agree. I give it a 10.
But I'm looking for 1 million.
If I had that many fingers, then they'd all be up.
I think on a whole bigger perspective, everything is energy, and it's something that was squashed in me when I was younger, and now I just see that as my superpower. But what that gives me is an incredible level of awareness around myself and how I utilize that energy. But more than that, it allows me to be a leader. It allows me to be a warrior. It allows me to be a vessel that constantly has the stamina to go out there and serve, going out there and make an impact, and a lot of people just need somebody to have their back. They just need somebody to believe in, to be a mirror in their face going, you've got this, you know. And as much as I love it, it's incredibly kind when people say, wow, Harriet, you're amazing. But with love, I know it. And that's that's just, I've done the work. I know I am. But what's really incredible is when people come up and go, oh my God, Harriet, I'm amazing. And it's like, yes,
exactly. And one of the things that I want to touch upon, you know, what you said is your strength is the energy. One of the things that I think I really like, not I think, but I know that really drew me to you about your energy is that it's authentic, right? You know, and that's one of the things, like you mentioned earlier, like when you were a kid, like you had that energy, but it wasn't, you know, the real you. And I think that's one of the things that, you know, I was so just like pulled in at the event at Superpower Live. You know, there'd be so many times where I'd be like, absolutely, to your questions, right? You know, and and it was just like I was so drawn in that you are this just amazing ball of energy, but it's so real, right? And I think that that's one of the things that, you know, I think with people out there, how you mentioned earlier, they get into these labels and they get, well, you can't do this because of that. You can't do that because of this, and whatever it may be. But yet understand that we can overcome those and we can still maintain that same energy, but in a more authentic way, right? And that's for me, like, you know, I've understand, like, you know, in the past, like my kindness was very much so exploited as a weakness, right? But yet now, because I've learned how to authentically give my kindness, and in a manner like yourself, like you give your energy that's for the highest good of not just yourself, but for the other people there as well. And I've learned, you know, now that I've learned and healed from these things, I can give my kindness in that same fashion. And so now it's not exploited, right? It's not seen as a weakness. It's seen as that authenticity. And that's what I really love about you is just, it's so natural, you know, the way you are now, right? And so, all right, so with that said, what would you say is your greatest weakness and why?
Well, first of all, I'm going to flip the language and I'm going to go, I won't go with weakness, but I'll go with improvements.
All right, what would you say is the greatest improvement you have to make? There you go. I love it.
I love that you put greatest in front of it. Nice. In terms of me personally, business, life, what area am I going for?
I would say with yourself personally. Yeah. Cause I mean, that's, yeah.
Cool. So I can't use technology. To me, I think at this stage in my journey, it's really, the level of awareness around my ego is there. So I'm very, very quick to see when I'm coming in from an ego perspective and when I'm not coming from heart. So the awareness, I'm very grateful. And again, it's all about that diligent practice. It's been a long time of noticing that, hearing it, seeing it, being able to understand it, see where there's emotional charge, see where there's not, see what the intention is, you know, a long period of that whereby my awareness level is great, but I'm excited for it to transition into a natural way of being. So I think my biggest improvement is to not, you know, I still fall in, and it's very easy to do as humans, but I still fall in, and I find myself having a need at times to project an opinion onto somebody, or I'm getting a lot better. My gosh, you should have seen me 2 years ago. Opinionated. But also I'm much calmer in terms of needing to project that, but perhaps if somebody else strong comes into the room and sort of forces opinions on others, I sort of feel that need to step in, and sometimes it comes from protection, but it's still need to have my say or have my word in there. So it's that ego, you know, need to be right. So I think that's my biggest area at the moment that I'm developing, and making sure that I'm not challenging from head and from emotion, from logic, but I'm able to tap in and sort of just come from heart, lead with love, lead with kindness in every moment with everybody.
So the next question, I'm going to kind of make a two-part question, right? So you said when you mentioned like that ego, the awareness of the ego, right? And I think that is also something that, you know, a lot of people struggle with. I know I did in the past, right? And you know, and as identifying yourself with it, not being aware of that. So how is it now that, so like when, in, you know, like when you're saying that awareness, like what is it that you, can you kind of describe that to somebody? Like, what is that awareness of, like, what, how does that process work for you, and how do you overcome that?
I think it's again, it's something that is a practice, and ego is a part of absolutely all of us. And in parts of your journey, it can actually be a very powerful driver.
Right.
It can give you fuel to take action. You know, getting on this journey of being an international speaker and traveling the world came from ego. I'm going to be the #1 female speaker in the world. You know, all these people that did wrong to me in the past, I'm going to show you.
Right.
You know, there's an element of ego that can drive us and motivate us.
Mm-hmm.
There's also an element of ego that can give you more confidence while you're building that side.
Right.
But I think for me personally, and I always say with anything that I share, that this is what I've learned from incredible teachers, mentors, successful influencers around the world. But it's about what's taking what works for you and then living it, and then being able to share it, which is all being here. For me, it's being able to, and this sounds very strange, but completely 100% focus on yourself, yet at the same time be absolutely of service to everybody around you.
Right.
So I know that my only responsibility in every single moment of every single day, in fact, you know, and there's a lot of conversation about different words that people use, but for me, my purpose and my only responsibility is to take care of this, be happy, be kind, lead from love in every single moment of every single day. However, in turn, by doing that, by focusing on me doing that, what does that do? It changes the vibration around me. Absolutely. It ripples out onto other people. Be the difference that you want to make. It naturally starts allowing other people to be inspired to do the same for themselves. Right. And then even more than that, because you're coming from love, because you're coming from kindness, as long as you take that time to work on you, fill your cup up, fill your vessel, give all of those things, like you just said about yourself, you needed to be kind to you. You needed to heal. You needed to love yourself in order to be able to go out there and give all of that love to everybody else. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make on this journey. They jump in to trying to share all the tools before they've done the healing themselves.
Right.
So it really needs a process. But finishing on the ego side, it's being able to drop the I and yet only focus on I from we angle, understanding that we are one. Every single one of us is energy connected. So in coming from heart, understanding what is your intention in each and every moment. And it could even be something as simple, you know, let's break this down to day-to-day actions for people to really get this. You know, when you post on Facebook, why are you writing that post? Is it to boast? Is it to brag? Is it to share that something's just happened? Is it to empower others? Is it to give a nugget of gold? Is it to get business? Is it, you know, what is your intention behind that post, and can you be authentic behind it? And if it's to send a message to somebody else, you know, think about that. Is that kindness? Is it service?
Right.
So it's in every single moment, like, what's your intention? Where are you coming from?
Yeah, and I could not agree with you more. And you know, a couple of things that you were talking about there, you know, about once you've done the healing yourself, you know, and this is something that I was telling a friend of mine the other day. It's like, once you've done that healing yourself and you've gotten to the point of unconditional love for yourself, and you respect yourself and accept yourself for who you are, right? It's impossible. It's literally impossible to show anything other than that to other people. You know, without, unless you're allowing, you know, digressing and allowing your ego to take back over. So one of the tips that I want to add to what the things that you were saying is, for me, one of the ways that I know whether my ego, the not so good side of the ego, because I agree with you 100%. There's two sides of the ego. There's definitely that ego that pushes you forward, but there's also that ego that pulls you down. And for me, the easiest way for me to tell which side of my ego that I'm playing from is I ask the question, is what I'm thinking, saying, or doing in the highest good of everybody involved, right? And the better way to say that is what I'm doing or saying or thinking at the expense of somebody else? If it is, that's not the right side of the ego to go with, right? If what I'm saying, doing, and thinking is going to be for, let's say, your greatest good and my greatest good, then that's the good side of the ego, right? Another way that you can try to figure out where your thoughts or emotions are going, right, is how do those thoughts or emotions make you feel? Do they make you feel uneasy, or do they start getting you into that doubt, that fear, that hate, whatever, anger, whatever it may be? That's the bad side of your ego. When you have this side of your ego, like Harriet was mentioned earlier, right, is that, when you are doing things like when you want to say, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be the best that I can be. I'm going to go out there and do what I know that I can do, right? That's the good side of the ego to go with right there. So, those are just a couple of, ways that I differentiate the good from the bad ego, right?
I think what was powerful in your question as well for your share on how you recognize that for your viewers is the way that you worded that everyone. And by the way, I'm also going to use accept yourself and respect yourself. I love that.
Yeah.
But it's, for me, it's not the same question, but it's the same outcome. So just to give that other variant for people, it's if you hear yourself saying I a lot, you're coming from you. It's not about everybody. Right. It's not about that situation. Right. So it's an easy way. And we've all done that. We've all had conversations with people, and listen out for it. You talk and, it's, oh yes, but I this and I that and I did that, and
right.
As you said, and I think that's a beautiful way of wording it. So take note of that, guys. Comment in the comments box for Chris,
right?
Because it is the greatest good for everyone.
Exactly, and that's what I've done to really I love how you were saying earlier too about being of service to others, right? And when you can focus on yourself and come from that place of love, like that's what you can do for other people. And I think that, I see it in you, wholeheartedly, where, the things that you say, the things that you do, and the things that you're doing now are for the highest good of other people. And I think the work that you're doing, with your business is absolutely phenomenal. Okay. There'll obviously be links in the description below for all of the stuff that she's got going on. All right. Okay. So a couple more questions here for you. Okay. All right. Can you give the audience one practical application of the law of attraction that has worked for you?
One.
Well, so let me rephrase that. One that you have seen has repeatedly worked over and over for you. Just give them a kind of a practical understanding of how they can, how you incorporated that into your life, and maybe it's a way that they can do it as well.
Got it. And I want to acknowledge that it is an abundance of different practices, and I'm going to just give one that I have to absolutely share and give, but won't go into it, which is gratitude.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely practicing gratitude. Oh, yes. Not just as part of your practice, but throughout the day. A lot of people say they're working with the law of attraction. I challenge that. I think most people are working with the law of distraction.
I love that. I've never heard that.
However, to bring something perhaps a little bit new, because I think a lot of people are hearing about the gratitude side, is to really focus on speaking it into existence. So I work a lot with communication. That's the area that we have events around, our webinars, our support. But it's really on an internal and an external basis. When people think about communication, they think about you doing it with other people. So in terms of this interview and this video and the law of attraction, I know that I spoke everything into existence in my mind way before it happened. It might not have been exact details in terms of the who and the where, although a lot of the wheres showed up actually. But everything that, even from down to the puppy, that was the first area that I sort of found out about law of attraction. I started speaking about this little puppy that would be with us and would be living with us. Happened. I started speaking about becoming a speaker, becoming an international speaker. Very quickly, speaker gigs started to line up. Now, don't get me wrong. You need to match the action. Law of attraction has the word action. So you need to be taking action. But the more you work on your mindset, the more you work on you, the more you speak it into existence. Something that you said earlier, when what you think, what you say, and what you do, please excuse me. I thought I put that on silent. Should I just pause, go?
Right. Exactly. So, did you want to keep going?
Yeah, I just want to wrap that bit up. So it's about what you think, what you say, and what you do are completely congruent. Then things will start to go up a lot faster. Then we start talking about manifesting instantly. But I think my biggest tip and one of the fastest ways to get to absolute alignment or complete congruency is your thoughts. How are you communicating with yourself? You know, so many teachers talk about this. Change your thoughts, change your life. Whether you look at this scientifically or whether you look at this spiritually, both ways have been proven to work. It is the same. It's just spoken about in different languages. Absolutely. But it all starts with how, you know, your internal dialogue, speaking to yourself. Who do you want to become? What do you want to have? It's about the role first and foremost, not the goal. It's about who you are in order to get what you are. So internally, build what you want externally, and that all is created by speaking it into existence.
Yeah, I could not agree with you.
Meditation, etc., etc.
Right. I could not agree with you more on speaking it into existence. I don't know if you saw the video that I did about the power of your words. So there's a doctor named Dr. Emoto. Right. Yeah. And so you're familiar with that, right? How he used the water and froze the water and used the different positive words and negative words, right? Yeah. After I saw that, I mean, I was already doing that a lot, right? About speaking it into existence. But once I saw that, I was just like, oh my gosh, like literally in the power of your words. Like, I don't think people really truly realize, you know, when you're using language of, you know, I can't do this, or I'm, you know, like I used to tell people, like, I'm the nicest a-hole you ever met, right? So what was I? I was a nice a-hole, right? So, but now, you know, I don't use that language, you know, I don't speak that way about myself. I don't think that way about myself anymore. And all the way that I think and speak about myself and the way that and obviously take the actions are based off of how we think and how we speak about it. And therefore, that's what your actions are going to be. So if you want to change things that are going in your life, I could not agree more with you. Start changing the words that you're using. Start changing the thoughts that you're thinking, you know, and that is something that is going to, you'll notice that change start happening right away. You know, for me, I think I noticed a change within like the first 30 days that I started changing, you know, and doing my affirmations and things like that. We were talking about the meditation and things like that. But just changing the way my story that I used to speak about, right? Like I no longer, like you talked about earlier, like we only say these words just to get the point across, right? That's the only time I share my story is to get people to understand like where I've been and where I am now, right? But aside from that, you know, I no longer label them as losses. It's all contrast now, right? Or lessons. And so that is awesome. I love that.
Can I top on to that yes, as well?
Please do.
Well, and I'm going to go and watch your video about the power of words as well. That sounds really awesome. And I love Dr. Emoto's work. And words are vibration. It is everything that's coming out here. And now I'm having a tangent because I'm looking at your beautiful face of what I wanted to add. I got it. Emotion. That's something that people do miss when they go into the thoughts and the affirmations. Now, first of all, is bringing in that physiology. Right. Change your physiology. It changes the way that you feel. Just everybody, and Chris, you do this with me, viewers at home, smile. Right. Smile right now. Like, do it. I can see through your camera, everybody. Smile. Okay? And now, while you're smiling, this big, huge smile, try and think a negative thought. Keep smiling and try and think something negative. You cannot do it. And if you do, your mouth starts to change. So what does this mean? It means physiology affects the way that we feel. So one of the reasons people don't believe that thoughts don't change your life, and the only reason they believe that is because they've tried thinking it and it didn't work. But what you need to know is you've been conditioned for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. So you need to change on a cellular level. And yes, it's possible, but you need to bring in the emotion with thought. That's why gratitude is so powerful, because it's easy to tap into the emotion.
Right.
So
Right.
with your thoughts, with speaking it into existence, when you're visualizing, when you're seeing yourself in the future, when you're affirming being confident, when you're affirming financial abundance, when you're affirming health, feel it. Feel the
Right.
emotion that goes with that thought.
Right.
Formula for magic.
Right. And here's another super simple tip to add on to the physiology side of it, right? So, most people, when they're not feeling good, what are they doing? Right? They're always kind of like down. And so one of the things I learned is when you're in that state of being, if you sit up, right? Sit up straight, put your shoulders back, hold your head up. When you sitting and like this or standing in that, very, poised way, you can't feel that way. It's the same way with the smile, right? So when you're sitting up and you have your shoulders back and your chin up, right? And that's that confident feeling, that stance of just like raw, right? Like that warrior stance, right? Right? Yeah, and so when it's something as simple as just sitting up and pulling your shoulders back and not having your head down, something that simple can start to pull you out of those emotions and out of those states of being, and along like, everything that you were saying is so spot on. Like, when you were talking about some of the stuff, like my crown chakra starts going, oh my God, I get tingles everywhere, right? Because those are exact things that I experienced myself going through those things, right? And so if you're out there and you're listening to these, to this interview, and you're wondering, do these things really work, right? I mean, because we hear a lot of these things like, oh yeah, that's just you, that worked for you. No, everybody, please listen. All the things that we've shared with you today are things that will work for you, regardless of what you've been through, regardless of your current situation. If you start to put these things into practice, like she said, it takes practice. Okay, it's not going to be like overnight, but if you start to put these things into practice, they will work. Okay, she's living proof of it. I'm living proof of it. Okay, I'm telling you right now, all the healing, people take, oh, that takes years. No, I've done all the healing that I've done has been in less than 1 year, and a majority of it came probably within the first 4 to 5 months. I went from just being completely broken, no faith in myself, no faith in relationships, no faith in a higher power, let alone a higher power that had my best interest in mind, right? To now completely understanding what these things are and how energy works and how we're all just these divine beings that are able and capable of all the abundance of love, health, wealth that you desire. It's all there waiting for you. It's just a matter of getting onto that path. And for me, in the beginning, I was like, you know what do I have to lose? Try it. So that's what I told myself. Okay, I'll try it for 30 days. I'm going to immerse myself in it. I'm going to, speak it, think it, feel it, see it, right? And in 30 days, my whole mindset had changed. And I was like, okay, it wasn't like this massive change like it is now, right? But it was enough for me to go, there might be something there. Let's keep going. And then after the second month, after the third month, and by the fourth month, oh my God, like epiphany after epiphany after epiphany. It's just like, holy crap, this is awesome, And so now, like, you couldn't get me to, it would have to be such a conscious decision to go back. And it's one that I would never make ever, 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 just because I know how simple it truly is. But we have to decide. We have to make that choice. And yes, people, it is simple as a choice. That's all it is. It's just decide to change the way you think, change the way you speak, change the way you act. And everything will just move forward like that for you.
Couldn't agree more. And it was just a privilege to see you radiating through the screen as you were sharing that.
All right, so one final question for us, because we're going to be running a little bit short on time here. So what are the future goals for the truly amazing Harriet?
In this lifetime?
Right. Yes, in this lifetime.
To be honest, and something that I've really spent a long time working on, is my immediate and lifetime goal is simply to do, as we kind of said in this interview, is just consistently be that difference, be love, and be happy in each moment and
Right.
monitor my thoughts. But in terms of that sort of mission and that vision style of goals, well, you better watch this space. The warriors are rising in abundance. We've got events all over the world coming up. Our events are getting bigger. Our collaborations are getting bigger. In fact, I will take this opportunity. I have shared it with a few people, but this is the first time to be sharing it live. I've actually literally last week in London formed a business partnership with Marie Diamond for an event collaboration, and we're planning something very big in June. Conscious Women Global. I'll find you address, Chris, and come join us.
Awesome. Congratulations. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, we're in London in June, and then LA later on in the year. There's a couple of other collaborations in the pipeline. I heavily believe in collaboration. I think it's all about rising together.
Yeah.
So otherwise, continuing the warrior events and the firewalks, which I'm really excited about. We've got one coming up actually on the 22nd of this month. So
awesome.
more impact, more happiness, and a lot of global transformation due to passing on a beautiful gift that was passed to myself.
Right. So for anybody who's interested in everything that Harriet has going on, we're going to be putting the links in the description below to all the stuff that she's got going on. So please, everybody, check it out. Everything she's doing is just so completely amazing. I tell you right now, you will not be sorry to see this person live, face to face. It will blow your mind. Harriet, thank you so very, very, very much for joining me today. I cannot tell you how amazing and completely awesome I feel right now after speaking with you. Just thank you for being so awesomely you.
Love that. And Chris, thank you so much, not only for having me with you today. I'm so grateful for the invitation. Thank you for being you. Thank you for inspiring so many people in the way that you are. Your energy, your passion, you just light up screens, you light up people, you light up hearts around this world. And what you're doing with your YouTube channel, what you're doing as an individual to help create change around this world and bring that love, that light, that positivity for people is absolutely phenomenal. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing as well, brother.
All right, everybody. I hope you all love this interview. I know I did. So make sure you obviously smash that thumbs up button, click the subscribe button. There'll be links to Harriet's channel, okay, down below. Make sure you head over there and like all her videos and subscribe to all her stuff as well. All right, until next time, much love. Namaste.
Namaste, Chris. Thank you so much.